Hello and welcome to Shimba channel. I'm a native Japanese speaker and English learner. Today, I'm going to share 5 strange Japanese school rules that I personally experienced as a student. Some of them might surprise you. Let's see how they compare with schools in your country. In Japan, many schools require uniforms, and I wore them in both junior high and high school. When I was in junior high, the rules weren't that strict. But in high school, teachers checked our outfits all the time, at the school gate in the morning, during homeroom, or even when passing a teacher in the hallway. You could be stopped anywhere. The rules were very detailed. Of course, we had to wear the designated uniform. Socks had to be plain white, undershirts also had to be plain white, belt had to be the official school belt. And we weren't allowed to wear the uniform in the messy way. Female students were often told off if their skirts were too short and showed their knees. If you broke the rules once or twice, you might just get a warning. But if it continued, you had to write an apology. Your parents could be called in, or you'd be sent for special discipline. I often wore black ankle socks or a non-regulation belt, but I always kept a pair of white socks or something in my bag. Whenever there was a sudden inspection, I'd quickly change them. If I spotted a teacher, I would hide or quickly fix my appearance. Honestly, I often thought, why do teachers care so much about these small things? But still, I had to come up with little tricks every day to avoid being caught. Next are hairstyle rules, which many schools have. Most schools ban dyed hair and flashy hairstyles. My high school was no exception. Dyed hair was forbidden, and unusual hairstyles were strictly policed. First, about dyed hair. If a student was caught with dyed hair, the school would immediately contact their parents. Since most Japanese people are naturally born with black hair, the student had to dye it back to black right away, or in some cases, even shave their head. Of course, students found ways around it. Some sprayed their hair black just for school, or only dyed it during long holidays. Hairstyles were restricted too. For boys, the 2-block cut, shaved on the side and long on top, was banned, as was growing out the back of your hair. I still remember one classmate who showed up one day with a stylish new haircut, saying, "Looks cool, right?" The very next day, the teacher caught him and, boom, his head was completely shaved. That image is still burned into my memory. And here's something surprising, the natural hair certificate. Students who were born with brown hair or curly hair had to submit a document signed by their parents to prove it wasn't dyed or permed. One of my friends actually had to hand it in this kind of certificate. This rule depends on the school, but some ban part-time job after classes. Legally in Japan, you can work once you are 15, but at my school, part-time jobs were not allowed. Still, many classmates secretly worked because it was hard for teachers to find out. I personally didn't feel the need to work in high school, so my first job was after graduation, during the break before university. Later, I worked in many jobs, from physical labor to teaching, and I'd love to share those experiences in another video. In some cases, family circumstances were taken into account. If you applied and the school approved, when you were allowed to work. How about in your country? Do many high school students work part-time? Please share in the comment. Apart from the official rules, teachers often scolded us for other things too. For me, it was sleeping in class. I wasn't doing it on purpose, I just couldn't fight the sleepiness. If I was caught, I sometimes got yelled at and called after class. Other students were the same. Depending on the teacher, you might be forced to stand for the rest of the lesson or solve a problem on the blackboard. Looking back, I wonder why I slept so much. But our schedule was extremely intense, so maybe it was only natural. I'll share more about that crazy timetable in another video. Another common rule was that students were not allowed to get a driver's license or motorcycle license. In Japan, you can get a moped license at 16 and a car license at 18. So technically, some students were old enough, but many schools banned it or required permission. Still, some students secretly got their licenses, and I was one of them. My family already had a scooter, so when I turned 16, I went ahead and got a moped license, even though it was against the rules. It was pretty simple. You attend the short lecture in the morning, take the test, and if you pass, you get your license that same day. I was excited, but of course, I couldn't ride it to school. That wouldn't give me away immediately. So I just used it for short trips around the neighborhood. By the way, in junior high, even riding a bicycle to school was banned. Walking was the only option. In high school, if you wanted to commute by bike, you needed a permit. And you had to wear a helmet. Finally, many schools also have a no leaving campus rule. At my school, once you entered the gate in the morning, you couldn't leave until classes were finished in the afternoon. For lunch, you had to bring your own bento, buy something before school, or eating in the cafeteria. But of course, some students slipped out. Teachers knew this, so they patrolled popular spots like convenient stores to catch anyone sneaking away. So today, I introduced 5 strange school rules I experienced in Japan. Did any of them surprise you? Or were some similar to your own school? Back then, I often felt annoyed, especially by the rules about appearance, and sometimes broke them quietly. But now, things are changing in Japan. Diversity is valued more, and it's less common for schools to force students to shave their heads or dye their hair back. There are still many more rules I didn't mention today, so I'd love to share them in another video. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Which of these school rules did you find the strangest? Please leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your feedback really helps me improve, not only in making videos, but also in learning English. See you next time.